All right, Shalom. All praise to the Most High Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutation to your brothers and hopefully elect pushing this word in truth and sincerity. All right, back with another article here from the Natural News, and I'm entitled this video. It's gonna be Compound Crisis. All right, compound crisis. So you think about the word compound, you're basically taking one or more things and putting it together, or adding it together or putting it on top of each other. So right now you have different crises that's happening in the earth. So they're literally compounded on top of each other. This thing is happening, then this thing is happening, and this thing is happening. You have the food shortages, okay, energy crisis, okay, violence has increased, murders, all kind of things are going on in the earth, okay. The earth is heating up, okay. You got this heat wave coming through, okay. It's so many different things going on, and you put it all together and you have a huge disaster, okay. So it's a compound of crisis. All right, but check out this article here. It says, the title says, dark times, industry and infrastructure collapsing by the day across Europe and the USA. Okay, and right now we're hearing Europe is going through it. Okay, it's a lot of things as far as dealing with inflation, dealing with the energy crisis, it's so much going on over there. It's you see particular things over here, but they for the most part kind of being hush hush with what's going on over here in America. Okay, people still outside, people still celebrate themselves. People still having birthday bashes. People still, having these extravagant parties, but it's coming a time real soon that all that's gonna be shut down. Okay. But it says, in yet another truly astonishing announcement that demonstrates the desperation of this hour, German steelmaker, I'm not gonna pronounce that name, ArcelorMittal, one of the largest steel production facilities in Europe, has shuttered operations due to high energy prices. That's another thing. So if you're not the only one being affected due to high energy prices, okay, the energy crisis, because if they want to do the rolling blackouts or different things like that, that will affect you, as a consumer. But also you gotta think about those these major production companies. They might have to shut some of them down just to save on the energy, okay, just to protect the power grid. Okay, so that in turns affect the consumers and the prices in which they produce on the products in which they produce. Okay, so I mean, it's all leaning upon each other, and it's all going to be compounded. But it says, with gas and electricity prices increasing tenfold within just a few months, we are no longer competitive in a market that is 25% supplied by imports. Okay, and also don't let the fall in gas prices fool you. Okay, all right, they're doing that to just appease the people temporarily, because I've actually seen $2.80, it's like $2.89, not too far from here. Okay, so but don't be fooled by that. This comes after announced closures of aluminum smelters, copper smelters, and ammonia production plants over the last few weeks. Ammonia, necessary for fertilizer, is now 70% offline in the EU. Okay, and that's going to affect their crops. Okay, that not having fertilizer affects their crops. Adding to the misery, in just the last 24 hours, Russia announced a complete ban on natural gas exports to Europe until the West economic sanctions are lifted. This means the Nord Stream 1 pipeline is now shuttered for the foreseeable future, since delusional NATO countries are incapable of correcting their errors and backing down from Russia. With steel and other industrial metals also offline, one wonders how Western Europe is supposed to function over the next 6 months of winter. And I think that might be when it really hits, going into this winter. And remember, about a couple years ago, about 2 years ago, I think it was like said it was going to be a dark winter. So hey, we might be coming up on that time for that dark winter. But it says no steel equals no industry or industry jobs. No fertilizer equals no food. No natural gas equals no electricity or heat. In essence, 3 of the pillars that allow a modern society to function are being severely crippled by economic sanctions and sky-high energy prices across Europe. And this is why I said, don't be alarmed that you're not seeing it happen as hard over here in America. Okay? But just know, all these things that are happening in these other countries, they're catalysts for what's coming here. And it's only the first week of September. The cold weather hasn't even arrived yet. No matter how much natural gas is already stored for the winter, Europeans are facing both sky-high costs and scarcity on a level that hasn't been experienced since World War II. There simply isn't enough energy available to power European cities and heat all their buildings in this winter, and there's not enough food in the pipeline to feed everyone in 2023 either. California's rolling blackouts may begin today. Okay. The San Francisco Chronicle is reporting today that rolling blackouts may begin in California this evening. They're simply not. So now we're coming over here to the States. There's simply not enough electricity to meet demand. So thousands of homes and businesses are going to be forcefully disconnected from the power grid. This is after the state begging electric vehicle owners to avoid charging their EMVs from 4 to 9 p.m. Question: what happens if millions more Californians buy electric vehicles and plug them in? Now, they want them to charge or to not charge them for those particular 5 hours, right? Now, but yet and still they want you to convert over to electric vehicles, okay? Because they suppose they have stopped the sale of new gasoline powered vehicles. Okay, something else to think about. So you see how they literally setting it up for fall, because if you stop the sale of new gasoline powered vehicles, that means the new vehicles are going to have to be on the electric grid. You know, they're going to have to pull from the electric grid, you know, or the power grid. And it's already stressed out, right? You see what I'm saying? They're literally setting things up to fall. But it says, state officials anticipate needing 48,817 megawatts of electricity Monday, which will leave the state with 2,000 to 4,000 megawatt deficit, according to the California Independent System Operator. It turns out that dismantling the power grid infrastructure in order to appease left-wing greenies doesn't keep the lights on. This must be incredibly confusing to leftists, given that they thought if all fossil fuels were shut down, a magical utopia would spontaneously emerge. Instead, they'll be burning candles and cranking up wind-up radios and crapping in buckets when the water towers run dry due to lack of electricity for the water pumps. And it says, welcome to Collapsifornia. To combat the rising price of electricity and food, Governor Newsom just signed a bill requiring fast food restaurants to pay as much as $22 an hour to workers. That's another thing. They going up on their wage for fast food workers. This is going to bankrupt many restaurants in California, worsening the lack of food options and job opportunities for locals. See that? You can't charge enough for fast food to offset what will happen from the labor perspective, which operates a franchise brands in 44 states and owns 105 restaurants in California. Mr. Flynn says he donated to Newsom's political campaigns. It turns out you always get the tyranny you support. As long as obvious Californians keep voting for Democrats, they're going to continue collapsing into destitution and authoritarianism. Where are all the people in Jackson, Mississippi, crapping? Don't forget, the entire municipal water system has failed in Jackson, Mississippi, so now we're moving over to Jackson. Meaning there is no water to flush toilets. It begs the question, where are all the people crapping there? If they're crapping in their toilets, they have to hand carry water to flush it. Where are they getting all that water? Or maybe they're crapping in buckets and tossing the contents in the backyard. That's going to create a nightmare for the health department and some interesting conversations among the neighbors, especially when it rains again. How are businesses functioning in the city if there are no working toilets? When locals need to get together for a meeting, do they ask to meet at the corner of cholera and E. coli? Seriously, at what point does all the feces become a public health issue reminiscent of collapsed third world nation like Haiti? It's all breaking down, okay? That's why I said compound crisis. All by design, globalists are decimating the pillars of civilization in order to cause collapse and depopulation. They are attacking food, energy, health with the scene, the bio weapons, the supply chains, finance, elections, liberty and self-defense, weather and geoengineering. So they're attacking everything all at once. That's why I say it's compounded. The overarching goal is to exterminate the vast majority of human population, then enslave the survivors. The oblivious masses are going along with it, having no clue that if they took multiple CVPD things, multiple arm candies, they're probably already dead. All right. But yeah. All right. Everything is being compounded on top of each other. Oh, let me add this one here. Definitely can't leave this one out. This is here in the city of New Orleans. It says thousands of 911 calls downgraded to non-emergency, causing even longer response times in New Orleans. And so that's having a problem with that, with the police force. Manpower shortage, higher response times, all that. So I'm gonna let this video play real quick.
New Orleans culture, the way they do business is very relationship oriented, and I believe we have the best team in New Orleans.
We're proud of our customer experience, and when you come in, you're going to get an experience that you're not going to soon forget.
Council learns that many emergency calls to 911 are getting downgraded to the category of non-emergencies.
Now, some of those downgraded crimes include rape and armed robbery. As a result, response times are now longer. As Natasha Robin reports, some say
it includes rape and armed robbery. So, so that means you getting raped, or you getting raped, armed robbery. Some of these high calls. Hey, you might be SOL. You coming into the city.
Say it's clear there aren't enough officers to keep up with the calls.
We've already lost 120 officers this year. I don't know what the number is going to be by the end of the year.
With a critical manpower shortage, NOPD response times are getting worse.
The average is roughly 30 minutes, but if you get into areas like in District D or District E, it's much longer than that, 40 to 50 minutes.
Long response times have a direct impact.
And those areas are your Jake, your heavily populated Jake areas. All right.
On the crime victims waiting for help. On top of that, the council's now learning that an increasing number of 911 emergency calls are getting downgraded to a non-emergency, likely making the NOPD response times even longer.
Now the time could be hours to potentially the next day or potentially not even show up at all. That's incredibly concerning.
Council President Helena Moreno points out often survivors are no longer on the scene when officers arrive. According to the council's crime analyst Jeff Asher, 95 aggravated rape calls were downgraded this year. He's also reporting 74 armed robberies, 252 aggravated assaults, and nearly 1,500 domestic disturbances were also downgraded to a non-emergency call.
So it's not surprising. It is unacceptable.
Raphael Goenechi with the Metropolitan Crime Commission believes the long response times and downgrading of emergency calls are in part a result of a police department that doesn't have the manpower to keep up.
Nobody is more upset about the numbers that were reported in the city council than police officers, and the person that's probably the most upset by it is the superintendent of police. But he is faced with an unwinnable situation.
Goenechi says with no quick fix, there has to be an alternative solution.
But I think we're going to have to civilianize some of this, and there are going to be some crime victims that may not get a police officer respond to them.
So that is why I continuously have called for additional professionals to be brought into the NOPD so that they can assist.
It's something Chief Sean Ferguson says he too believes needs to be done.
We also have a committee together looking at our calls for service, because at some point in time we're going to have to look and make a decision. Does every call require an in-person response? And I just don't believe that we are there anymore.
Council members are hoping that the report will create a greater urgency to address the issue. At City Hall, Natasha Robin, Fox 8, Local First.
All right, so there you have it. Okay, longer response times. Sometimes, say 30 minutes to an hour. To sometimes they don't even come out. That's bad morale for the city. Okay, that's terrible morale for the city. But the thing is, when you add that on top of everything that's going on, you get this. Matthew 24:12. It says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Okay. Iniquity is anomia, which means a condition without law. Okay, lawlessness is increased in the earth. Okay, that love, that care for other people is gone. Okay, that's why violent crimes are increased. Okay, and you know what? That's why I say when you compound that on top of each other, you have no electricity, you have no heat. So basically, you have no AC when it's hot. You have no heat when it's cold. You have no food. People gonna get, as they say, get it how they get it. People gonna do what they want to do. People gonna run up in people's houses, take things that they need, okay, and dare you to say something about it. That's what's coming. Okay, that is literally what is coming here. 2 Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Okay, woe to the world. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Okay, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Okay, inciting against the government. Okay, that's sedition. They're not gonna care about your government. They're not gonna care about your so-called laws. Okay, they're not gonna care about your mayors, your governors, your councilmen. All that. That's why I say they shall not regard the kings nor princes, or even your presidents. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Okay, city's gonna be cut off. Diverted. You can't come in this way. You have to go somewhere else. All kind of things. That's martial law. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Okay, it's gonna be trouble. It's gonna be hell. These cities. It's gonna be chaos. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. They're gonna destroy their houses. You're gonna see a lot of fires. You're gonna be burning houses down. People gonna be just going in people's stuff and taking it. Okay, people gonna have people locked up, tied up. But people gonna go crazy. But shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods. Hey, that's what they gonna do. That's what they going for. Because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Okay, that's that famine. So, like I said, you compound all that on top of each other, and when it truly falls, and you see that every man for himself mentality, that I get it how I get it, that selfish and stuff. Alright, then you're gonna see the true disaster, and that's only the beginning. Okay, we ain't even got into you add the different pestilences, you add the different plagues. The Lord is gonna open up on this place. All right, but I just want to bring that article out there on the Natural News. So call Allah Yahweh Shem Al Shai by Shem Dash. I hope you edified. Shalom.